Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the virtual Cobalt Cafe, week number 235 of our virtual series. Great to have you all here. We are streaming live on YouTube for the very first time because of, and I have to mute the YouTube thing as well because honestly, one of me is more than enough. You don't need to hear me twice. So there you go. So tonight, in addition to our open reading, we are delighted to have VCP SoCal Poets presenting the poet Cheng. Jen, so glad that you're here with us. Looking forward to your reading. And we're going to do a little bit of our open reading first, and hopefully that gives time for James to show up to be able to introduce you as well. So James Maverick is the VCP SoCal poet who should be here to represent VCP as well as introduce Jen. So it's going to be great. We're going to do a little bit of our open reading first. I randomized the list before we went live. Linda V.E. Crawford, you will be up first, just so you know. So prepare yourself. 5 open readers total. And then our featured reader, Jen Cheng, and then the rest of the open reading. If you would like to read and you haven't already done so, please send me a message in the chat. I'll be happy to add you to the list. I think I've already confirmed everyone else who has said they would like to read with little thumbs up, tap backs on your messages or by verbalizing it. But you can get on the list even if I missed you when I read the whole list later today, and it shouldn't be a problem. Just so you know, if you're new here, the maximum amount of poems that you can read is two poems. That's the maximum, and the suggested time limit is less is more. We also have a 1 drink minimum here at the Cobalt Cafe, so make sure you're observing that as well. Cheers to everyone. Great to have you. Richard Loringer, I think that was a chip and not a beverage, but who am I to say what a beverage is? I mean, you can have your own beverages. It's fine. So there you go. Also, make sure you have the chat room open. Richard is now secretly telling me it's a peanut butter cracker. I can't keep that information to myself, Richard. That needed to be shared with everyone. It's even less of a beverage than a chip. Maybe. I don't know. Make sure you have the chat room open. The chat is available for you to interact with each other since everyone is muted throughout the festivities. Great place for you to react to what you're hearing people read, to share links of things that you might mention, etc., etc., etc. I believe that's everything I need to tell you at this point before we get going with our first open reader. Are there any questions? Cathabella Wilson, yes, hello.
Rick, what is your favorite way of changing a situation into a positive thing from being difficult?
Oh, what a time in my life to ask that particular question. Mostly just reacting with humor, I would say.
That's good.
Trying not to stress about it, moving on, and etc. I think that's probably the most honest answer I could give.
That's great. Thank you, Rick. That's wonderful.
Sure, no problem. Thank you, Cathabella. Martin, looks like you have a question.
Yes, hello, Rick. I was wondering if there are any particular constellations in the sky to which you have a personal connection.
So step 1 is I have to remember what any of the constellations are. Big Dipper, that's one of them, right? That's okay, good. I have a relationship with that one because that's the one that I remember exists. And I also know there's a Little Dipper, and I'm just kind of wondering if they're friends or if the Little Dipper feels inadequate.
There you go. Good question. Well, we'll see if I have one later.
Thank you, Martin. Looking forward to where that leads us today. Any other questions before we get going? All right. Some people have asked about the fire. So, just so you know, I personally am not affected by the fire. I'm actually on fire right now, I should mention, but it's only the lower part, and the wind is blowing down. So I don't expect. I expect to just sort of maintain, as it were. So it shouldn't be a danger. I don't have to evacuate the lower part of my body. Earlier, at the end of last week, we were on an evacuation warning because of one of the fires, which lasted a couple of days. The warning, but they contained that fire quickly. If you're following the fires, it was the Hearst fire, and that one is pretty much gone now. And we never it didn't really have any direct effect on us, outside of packing a bag and having it ready. My wife and son and I feel very lucky in that case. The electricity never went out. You know, it was pretty much business as usual here. However, we know a lot of people directly affected, evacuated, whose homes are gone, and that kind of thing. In the other fires, the Eaton fire in the Pasadena area and the Palisades fire, and both of which are not under control yet. So we're kind of hoping that they don't progress anymore. I know that there are other people here in LA in the room who have different answers to that question and how it affected them, and who know other people, etc. You might have seen me post in the Cobalt Poets Facebook group back when I still had access to it last week, about Beth Marquez, who featured here a few years ago in the virtual series, and who's a poet who I've known since the late 90s here in Los Angeles, and a really nice person. And she and her partner lost their home. So they have a fundraiser going, and I hope the link to that still exists in the Cobalt Poets Facebook group. There you go. That's one way that you can support folks. There's lots of other ways as well. Anyway, I'm fine. Outside of the fact that, as I mentioned, my lower extremities are on fire. I'll let you know how that progresses. We're going to continue now with the open reading. Jeffrey Bryant, you were on deck. 5 open readers, then our featured reader. Please welcome our first reader, Linda V.E. Crawford. Hi, Linda.
Good evening, Rick. Thank you so much. Am I able to share screen just briefly? Let's see. Okay, and my system is a little slow. I'm going to read just one poem. I'm showing this quilt because the poem is in reference to a quilt and much more. And it's a bit of a pensive piece to start us off, so hopefully others will do something more uplifting, but I was in that kind of a mood today. Keeping quilt. What have I to do with quilts? My American friend, the one who picked up my school books when I dropped them at my locker, frightened at the rush of feet, the chatter, so far from Island Secondary School, where children sit orderly in classrooms, chatting quietly, mostly readying for new knowledge, while teachers walk to them, upright bosoms strong, firmly from class to class, around square corners, no rushing into small hallways. My American friend who always loved a crochet needle or making squares for quilts, like her mother and so many ancestors before her, she would understand the gift of a quilt. But I am perplexed. This stitching together of memories, events, patchings of flowers, what does it mean? What does it beget? When my African husband was dying of cancer, my next door neighbor, having given up on urging me to church, walked over one evening with a square-shaped cloth, padded offering, of black squares, tan squares, darker tan squares. Such quietly toned beauty, suited to the soft pale of Orden's furniture, not the carnival red core of my soca arcing waist, not the kwasa kwasa vibrating through my hips and my once ebullient husband's. I unfold the quilt, soothe my finger along the stitching. On the back, I read, "Blessed prayer quilters. Each knot represents a prayer said especially for you." There's a tiny box shape with the number 1, 2, 1, 3 inside, hand marked, stenciled, a pattern indicator perhaps, and a heart shape surrounded by a gift of love date, August '08. It too seems hand marked, but what do I know of quilts? And about the date? No, that's not it. My husband died in June of '09. This is the only quilt I have. I won't donate it with my long worn blankets, my dead husband's many suits, shoes, and I won't quilt. I wouldn't dream of stepping into the patience it requires. Thank you. I appreciate you. That's the quilt.
Thank you, Linda. We appreciate you as well. Thank you so much for being here, for being brave enough to open up the reading for us as well. A great poem. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Round of applause for Linda V.E. Crawford. On deck is Ike Waltz. Please welcome now Jeffrey Bryant. Hi, Jeffrey.
Hi. Let me see here. How about two poems with motels in them, referenced in them? That's sort of light and fun. This is called Hollywood Ending. I'm a pensioned off smog city bottom with my mythos of love and other particulate matters, the stuff of legend. I curl at the edges, paying a steep price for sunsets and the men whose names flew out of my rolled down window. In the diamond lane, my tiara blows off, my exit disappears, my radio is loud and desperate. I'm used to it. On a torn map of courtesy queer stops, I find you, crying, the same color tears as me, gorgeously lost, follow spot exquisite. We see plots unfold between our eyes. We motel up, queen size down, and disrobe each other in one of the last silent spaces we still have left. The second one is called The Desert Road Trip High and Dry. On the long drive back through heartbreak, the blacktop disappears, and all the signs hide their faces, but your face is flash flooding me. In the beginning, we were each other's continental breakfast, from vacancy to vacancy, bouncing from king to queen in no-star motels. Two guys, one bed, full of coin-operated possibilities. You must have vanished inside the warm exhale of a coyote howl. What I call your wee hour high and dry, clutching a wallet that used to be mine. Maybe you'll inhale me in a shirt someday, all lost in candlelit regret. I'll look in my cracked mirror and see the lesson you taught me with your rough trade syllabus and its required reading of signals I ignored. The reasons you were wrong would fit in the trunk if I tossed out the spare. I'm just alone now with an ice-cold shotgun seat, accelerating back on this disappearing blacktop, trying to shake the vulture who has your devil laugh and smells nothing on me but death. Thank you.
Line after great line, Jeffrey. What a fantastic couple of poems that you have given us today. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Fun to listen to. Like, when you hear a line, you just go, oh, yeah, that line. Oh, no, that line, and it just keeps happening. That's what just happened to me. Well
Thanks.
done.
Thank you
And
very
thank you,
much.
by the way, for posting the message in the Facebook group.
Sure.
Hopefully that'll get on people's radar if they want to head on over, if they need to, if that's their main source of info. Jeffrey, round of applause for you. That was an awkward way to say that, I think. All right, on deck is Martin Parker. Please welcome now Ike Waltz. Hello, Ike.
Hello. Inauguration Day, reoccurring nightmares. Zeit heilt nicht. Time does not heal. You may forgive. You may never forget. You may be forgiven, but you may never be forgotten. Let me be quite clear. You may forgive Germany, but history never forgets what a Germany had done. I was born blonde, blue-eyed, 1939. I was to become a soldier of a glorious army. I was to be sent to Sonthofen's factory of officers, to be trained a loyal valet for ruthless men, and I found this out 15 years later. I was born blonde, blue-eyed, 1939. All I saw were black boots marching by. Love, compassion, empathy, tenderness, such foreign words. I never learned, I never felt any of these. I was blonde, blue-eyed, brainwashed, a toddler man. I learned to remember the sound of glorious marches when black boots were marching by. Yes, I did. Let us remember the Horst-Wessel song. Tararam, 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 rum, rum. Die Fahne hoch, die Reihen festgeschlossen, die Sturmabteilung marschiert mit ruhig, festem Schritt. Meaning, the flag is high, our ranks are close, stormtroopers march with silent, solid steps. This was the ultimate Nazi all-German sing-along. I sang it too as a brainwashed toddler man. Passion gone wrong, derailed, misguided, we all became like this deadly song, replacing love with that ultimate loyalty to a new godless German god. And once it was all over, this Germany, defeated, had lost not only its identity, but its moral compass. And history set his black marker. You may be forgiven, but never forgotten. Turning a defeated nation into innocent bystanders, all of them asking, what would you have done? And as for me, 85 years later, what time had stolen did not heal. And then I was listening to the TV today, like every morning. You see, I have my coffee in bed. And there she was, a blonde, blue-eyed, 21-year American sexy beauty, posing in an Arizona town. I'm queuing to vote for Trump, she said. But why Trump? She was asked. And Blondie responded with such an angelic smile. Well, Trump asked me to vote for him. Her lovely legs whisked her innocence away. Let me be quite clear. You may forgive America one day, but the world never forgets Trump's America, our innocence now washed away. The once MAGA exposed will turn into these innocent bystanders of a new generation. I've seen it all before. You may forgive a MAGA one day, but history never trusts America again, the land which was once so brave and free. 85 years later, and time does not heal. Guten Abend, gute Nacht, mit Rosen bedacht, mit Näglein besteckt, schlupf unter die Deck. Morgen früh, wenn Gott will, wirst du wieder geweckt. Thank you.
Ike, thank you. Lovely words of warning for us here in this country as it's about to change and become a completely different country. Can't wait to see what next week is like. It's going to be good to be with all of you next week. Ike, thank you so much for that. Thank you for being here. Round of applause for Ike Waltz. On deck is Richard Gran. We've got two poets left before our featured reader. Please welcome now Martin Parker. Hello, Martin.
Hello again, Rick, and everybody here. Very powerful as always. The beginning of the poem reminded me of when I learned that my favorite host father in Japan had been training to be a kamikaze when the war ended. Anyway, this is something completely different. For a period during the 90s, my main writing of poetry consisted of scribbling down a few lines whenever I saw the constellation Orion in the sky. And I decided to wind it up when I got to 360 lines. So this is not the whole poem. This is just the first section that I've somehow wrangled into something that resembles something presentable. So this is called Hunter. 1. The hunter watches calmly o'er the seething triple belt of light that passes through the sparkling gate of cool, wide stone. 2. Amid the aroma of particular pine, beneath the circle of curling leaves made silently luminous most suddenly by liquid interment singing a song, reflecting upon the shouldered mirror, I feel the texture of a sleepless soul, and let the layers of restless tension so slowly peel away. 3. He hangs in the air above my abode. I skulk on past his wayward eyes to make my way to the literal load, beyond a day of juggling boxes, caged in walls of boring brown, which wandered along the wily ways. When I arrive at the hidden lair of once and future valiant friends, I see that he has found me there by sending out such scintillant beams to swirl around the nebulous sward. I ring the bell and am rescued by the arms of a friendly little elf, now reaching out to pull me in. And when it's time to slip away, his eyes have disappeared. And 4. He follows me after across the sea, reviving from the lethal shot delivered by his love beguiled into a thickly curtained land, which richly exudes a muscovy scent around the square of frosted brick, beneath the thoroughly twisted bulbs that's then sliding through enchanted woods, with trees as thin as the face of the sea, amid the mounds surrounding the lake, like verdant dragons of sleeping stone, where time-carved crenulations reveal the spirits sagely shrouded in mist, which almost seem less tangible than the mystical voice of the golden ring revealed within old shawls. Thank you very much.
And like an elevator, he reappears into our vision to receive his glory and gratitude for a wonderful poem. Martin, thank you so much for your work tonight. Round of applause for Martin Parker. Thank you, Martin. On deck is our featured reader, Jen Cheng. Please welcome now Richard Grahn. Hello, Richard.
Good evening, everybody. I just have one poem tonight. It's a tank of prose, and it's one of the first poems I ever had published back in 2018 in Atlas Poetica. Some of you may be familiar with that publication, which no longer exists. And Catherine Bell, I see you there. It's titled Dreameries. In the early hours of a brand new day, I back my car out of the garage and park it temporarily on the street. The ominous sky above tangles in my mind with the distant memories of a long-lost wife. Slowly, my thoughts turn and wander around the corner where I find myself wondering if animals have dreams. Pardon me. Thunder brings the rain. My cat curls up to take a nap on the dry side of the window. What I've discovered is that dreams are bittersweet and memories are just along for the ride. Driving down the back alleys of my mind, I see that sign that reads, "No U-turn." Breaking that law is just not possible. We're not programmed that way. Rays bleeding through wounded skies. Across the lake, a skipping stone eventually complies with gravity. Pardon me, I'm choking up here. A car door opens somewhere in my thoughts. I step out and begin to wonder where I'll be tomorrow. I wonder if the squirrels in the almond trees believe in God. I wonder if God believes in me. I'm wandering through a forest of moments, dancing with my waking memories, but the waking is really all I need to begin another dream. In the taste of morning, a fleeting dance unfurls the sunrise. Sunlight greets the leaves. And I really apologize for that. I'm fighting a cold.
Well, my God, Richard, I'm just glad you survived the reading of the poem. I mean, that's, very, very few people die in the middle of reading a poem. But what a way to go. You know what I'm saying? Just like something to, I guess, strive for. There he goes, off the screen. It could be happening. Richard, stay with us. Glad you made it through. Thanks for sharing that piece, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Round of applause for Richard Grahn. Get some water, my friend. Clear your throat. On deck, after our featured reader, is Henry Medina. So, Henry, you'll be up in a little bit, which leads us now to our featured reader, in particular, the introduction of our featured reader. Tonight is one of the 4 times during the year that our partnership with VCP SoCal Poets is happening. Valley Contemporary Poets is an organization I've been affiliated with for many, many, many years, long before virtual Cobalt existed. They, in one form or another, have been producing poetry readings in Southern California, mostly based out of the San Fernando Valley since 1980, which used to feel like not all that long ago to me. Because I remember it, but it actually was quite some time ago. So that's quite the weight of history that VCP SoCal Poets has. It was started up more recently by the poet, or restarted, reinvigorated, brought back to life by Jerry Garcia, a poet who left us recently, shortly after he retired. And I'm thrilled to offer the space to them and to continue that partnership. Because it's a fantastic organization, as well as to basically allow the sensibility of who's picked and presented here in the featured reading spot to increase beyond my own sensibility. So to introduce our featured poet, Jen Cheng, please welcome James Everett Jones. Hi, James. James, are you with us? I see he's there, but he's not unmuting. I don't know what's happening. So tell you what, I'm going to head over to Jen's bio and give you a few tidbits. And Jen, I'm going to ask you to unmute so that way you can we can hear you. I'm thrilled that you're here. You're the current poet laureate. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. This is for everyone else. You're the current poet laureate of West Hollywood, which is awesome to be given the kudos of that. Of that, and it's sort of an institutionalized endorsement of who you are, and a city saying we want you to represent who we are. So I'm always thrilled when we're lucky enough to hear a poet laureate in our presence. You have written the poetry collection Braided Spaces, which we're going to post a link to a little bit later. You're a California Arts Fellow and a multidisciplinary artist who counts your influences, one of them being Feng Shui poetry. Interesting to hear what that's all about. I'm really thrilled that you're here. I especially having basically worked with you for a little while now in getting this reading ready, and I appreciate your communication and attention to detail and your poetry. So without further ado, please welcome our featured reader, Jen Cheng.
Thank you, Rick. James finally got sound on. If you want to say anything about VCP before I start.
Oh, no. It's a long story. I'll just put it that way. But if you could, ladies and gentlemen, Jen Cheng.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Rick, for inviting me. It's my honor to serve as the City of West Hollywood's Poet Laureate position. And that requires, being active in the community, and this is part of being active in the community. I created a thing called Feng Shui poetry. So if you haven't heard of it, you're absolutely right. I am a child of East-West upbringing, being Chinese American, and Feng Shui is usually used for interior design, and it's simply a nod at the 5 elements. What do the 5 elements mean? And I feel like elements are very fundamental to different cultures. Everybody understands what fire means. A lot of times we talk about astrology signs like Aries being fiery fens, or we have anger as fire. So I'm not going to get bogged down in describing the meanings of the 5 elements, but go ahead and read you poems that exemplify what I feel the 5 elements mean. People spend lots of money redecorating their homes to direct their lives, and I say, why not use the 5 element principles to redirect our emotional, spiritual lives through poetry? So there you have it. You're not going to get a PhD in Feng Shui tonight, but just an introduction to what that really means. One of the first poems I wrote to exemplify fire is Painted Painter. And the first line is from Joni Mitchell's lyrics, one line from her very well-loved song, A Case of You. Painted Painter, I live in a box of paints, and let them wash over me. Never mind any blurred lines, different colors tint me each day. Shadows of others from last week, some of bass notes mix and mutate into something new, a blend unexpected and leaks wisps of quantum light. Dress me in rare treasures like lapis lazuli, gracing eyes of Cleopatra so intensely. Who wouldn't want admirers like royalty, custom-made tailoring, and then catching something playful with something sure? So let them call me exotic, I will own it as my mirage, to allure them in like honey wine, effervescent patterns so rich, compliments and boldness erase limits, and systems so rigid. Perceptions from every angle reflect the multiple faces. Thank you. That was one of the poems that we celebrated last year's April Poetry Month. If you get to drive through Santa Monica Boulevard, Route 66 during April, the whole month of April, you'll see banners of poets and quotes from their poetry up on the street lamps. So I really encourage you to come visit in April. It's very exciting to celebrate poets from all over and see inspiration up on the street lamps. The next element I'll celebrate with you is Earth. And Earth has grounding. It has a way about partnerships. So I really love visual art. I love all kinds of art. And if you're looking for cleaner air to breathe, and a way to get your 10,000 steps, LACMA is free for parking and visiting all the way through this Friday to give you refuge away from the fire air. And Rick, if I may share screen, I can show you this concrete poem, which is a nod to a famous painting that you can see at LACMA. Yay. So if you know the piece Ceci n'est pas une pipe, not a pipe, this is a character poem as well as a concrete poem, as well as finding words inspired by the Wikipedia entry about Magritte's painting of the pipe, The Treachery of Images. So my character is a French lady who's a feminist, fed up with all the debates in a Paris cafe of these Americans. So excuse my bad French accent, but I find it amusing. Ceci n'est pas un poème. Hemingway with the pipe is an image of an altar. That was a reason to choose mojitos as my masculine drink, so that a femme at a bar among straight men could get respect. The mental treachery a female makes daily to get a crack at the game among lawyers, wrestle with the boys on their turf, learn the debate strategies to smoke them defenseless with wits. No, so don't pin the girl to one wall of the femme fatale. That's a tragedy that only sexualized power could be a raison d'etre. To be heroes with eyes closed, appeal to basic instinct with a parfum de je ne sais quoi. I teach writing from characters' points of view because I am one person and I am so limited. So I create characters from improv theater classes, and I encourage everyone to have fun with it. Don't always be so serious about the poems. And in fact, I'm teaching a character-inspired writing class with The Loft on Saturday, the 25th. And if anyone would like a scholarship, I have 2 scholarship spots for any reason that you'd like to sign up for that 3-hour class. It's really fun to write from a point of view of a character. The next element is metal. Metal, if you know Virgos who are really good at accounting, they're very precise people. So metal is a way of being very mental, very precise, but it's also beauty. And so I am inspired by the beauty of the language of Emily Dickinson. And as a child of immigrants, I am confessing to a crime I did not commit. I'm pulling it up. Here we go. Border crossing. The first line is from Emily Dickinson. A little madness in the spring is wholesome, even for the responsible daughter who wanted to wave a subversive middle finger to the arbitrary racist immigration laws that had defined her ancestors and family history. The spiders of life attempted to weave another immigration story. This time, her aunt had overstayed her visit home in Hong Kong and was going to lose her hard-won U.S. legal immigrant status. Mom asked, "Oh, dutiful daughter, could you help your aunt cross the Canadian-U.S. border?" Born as a translator, this daughter said, "Yes, but only if aunt will cooperate and make this successful. There is no point in failure." She recruited a white American software engineer, a guy who was mainstream and worked at Microsoft, to play the part of her boyfriend. Before 9/11, 2 US citizens crossing the Canadian border were easily waved through, especially when the driver is good looking, a professional guy playing the white chaperone. All this preparation went to naught, as the anxious aunt decided it was not worth the trouble to fight. It was easier to stay an outsider in her native land than to struggle to learn English and build a new life on unfriendly American soil. The aunt might have tried if she didn't have language barriers, if maybe she had her own white chaperone. The next section is water. Water also represents career, but also being able to flow with things. You know, everybody can agree that, you know, to be a watery personality means you can flow with things. And this one is Fight for the Life of a Girl. And I am doing a poem to highlight words that were very pivotal to me in my college days from the discipline of critical race theory. And this is a found poem from a legal article called Female Infanticide in China by legal scholar Sharon K. Hom. And the reason I highlight this legal theory is that this is the basis of intersectional feminism. Fight for the life of a girl. The terrorist practice of valuing women as only bearers of sons, deliberate killing of girl babies, persistent devaluation of female life, criminalized, but still the norm. What if more women exercise their power to disbelieve that the home is not a shrine of violence? Uproot culture, speak not on behalf but powerfully their own words and music, to love their daughters welcomed with tears of joy. The next section is wood. Wood represents harvest and growth and also family. So I offered Rick the poem Mother Tree in Franklin Canyon, and there's a broadside that Rick so beautifully designed, and I hope you get to see that beautiful art that goes with the poem. It's a poem of comfort, and I say sometimes humans are not reliable support systems. So I really respect and adore the trees that we can find to give us comfort. So I hope this poem gives you comfort too. Mother Tree in Franklin Canyon. 3 long, majestic trunks spread like loving arms from a base so strong, endlessly holding up the sky. You welcome me every time I visit and lay my troubles on the bed of your skin. It's so easy to soak up the light through your lacy canopy, to live in an altered space for a little while. Your reliable presence helps me find the divine mother, never absent, never overbearing. You are my pillar, giving spacious, sure strength while others have fallen from their duties. You step in, ready to love and cherish all, highways of busy ants, stashes of squirrel nuts, pairs of camouflaged birds. You are the shelter for any lost child. Thank you. So those are 5 poems representing the 5 elements. I don't know if we have time for one more poem to give you some laughter. Yes? Okay, great. This poem is another character poem. It's dedicated to fans of Bridgerton. Give me a show of hands or wave if you're a fan of the Shonda Rhimes series Bridgerton. So my grandma was kind of mean, and she was kind of a treacherous drama queen. So the way to get a good laugh out of my grandma is to give you an abecedarian and give it to you from the perspective of Bridgerton's narrator. So the title of the poem is Bridgerton's narrator spills the tea about my grandma. Grandma dearly departed with a grand hurrah, hailing respect instead of grief. In turn, her memorial party was her dream birthday celebration, as she just died gracefully of heart failure in her sleep. Kind of a quiet exit, but so obvious as her last symphony. Manipulation was her modus operandi, so none of her surviving 7 children could say no to showing up. Over all the years of plot she's orchestrated to stoke personality struggles with believable lies as the drama queen and mother mastermind of recurring rivalries between siblings. You needed the latest headlines to know who was mad at whom in this telenovela that could outdrink other families under the table. Air violins would play to whine about one sister's injustice or how xenophobia ruined a brother's attempt at a white-collar career. Yarn skeins were what she left behind, with a zoetic puzzle of where she might have hidden her jewelry. Accumulated hiding places were ways to anchor her bravery through war, occupation, and poverty as she silently sang her survival song. Conducting her power even from beyond, her heirs cleaned her home, dug through every jacket, looking for secret pockets, ever reminded how this frail elder knew how to perform her finale. Thank you. So for those of you who don't know Bridgerton, the show, the narrator is a gossip queen who runs a very successful and hated by the queen gossip rag. So that's a lot of fun. I encourage you to find your favorite series and write from a character point of view, and that is so much fun. And again, I'm offering scholarships for my character writing class. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, James. I hand over the mic back to you.
Thank you. Thank you. And everybody, please, if we could thank Jen for her marvelous work. She's a fantastic person, so very human, so very much a friend when you just, just happen to run into her. So, and another thing that I love about Jen is that she has a regular, she does have a regular reading in Los Angeles. And what's very special about this reading is that she conducts it toward LBGTQ&A artists. And so they have a place where they can go and share their poetry without having and being ensconced in a dome of kindred spirits. I think that's the best way I could put it. But if you do want to learn more about that, please get in contact with Jen. I think we have. Let me see. We've got. Oh, wait a minute. We've got the. Thank you, Heidi. Yeah, I've run out of words. It happens when you start getting up there.
Well, fortunately, I have some extra ones, James. James, thank you for giving us Jen tonight. Great pick. And any before I talk about Jen and share the broadside, any VCP SoCal announcements? Anything you guys have coming up?
Yes, we have Richard Modiano scheduled on this Saturday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. And that's going to be at the Studio City Public Library. It is a hybrid reading. So whether you're on site or off or online, you have a way of just coming on in and joining the party. We'll put it that way. And also, we have on the 1st of February, is it? No, it can't. What's the first Saturday of February? I think it's. So anyway,
February 1st.
What was that?
That would be February 1st.
Yes. Well, on the first and third Saturdays we have a reading, and 2 weeks after Richard's feature, we're going to also we will be featuring Peggy Dobrier. So that's it. That's what we have for now. Stay tuned. We got more stuff coming up.
James, thank you so much again. Jen, really fantastic reading. I appreciate that you gave us all PhDs in feng shui poetry. I'm gonna have to jet out early just so I can add that to all the places I list the things that I have. Let me quickly share. Actually, I'm gonna paste the stuff I pasted a little bit earlier just so I can talk about it into the chat there, and I'm gonna share the broadside, which everyone basically got a glimpse of in terms of the flyer, but there it is with the poem, etc. So Mother Tree in Franklin Canyon, beautiful poem, which you can download now at the Cobalt Poets website at poetrysuperhighway.com/Cobalt, and click on broadsides, or just click the link in the chat there, and you can download this 11 by 17 print and have it forever, or just look at it on your screen or whatever. I hope you'll consider tipping Jen for her reading. 2 ways to do that. Both Venmo and PayPal IDs are pasted into the chat. And Jen is obviously incredibly generous with what she does with poetry as a teacher, and she's already offered scholarships and PhDs. So I mean, give it back. It's really rewarding to receive anything for having created poems or read poems. So that's how we do it. Please contribute to the virtual passing of the hat there. Jen's website, jencvoice.com, is there as well. And finally, there are 2 links to Jen's book, Braided Spaces, one on Amazon and one at bookshop.org, that you can check out. Buying a poet's book, of course, is a great and wonderful way to support a poet. Jen, I also very much appreciated your French accent. In my opinion, a bad French accent is better than no French accent. You know what I'm saying? And then you gave us all these other accents, so it's like, we had so much to choose from in just the way in which you delivered your poems, the beautiful poems, the poems about elements, and I appreciate the different styles, and ending with laughter, and the fun poem about your terrible grandmother as well.
It wasn't so terrible, but it is the best way to highlight a memory about her.
Gotcha. Well, good. I'm glad that she was okay there. Jen, I really dug it, and I very much appreciate you being here, and thank you so much for inviting so many people and giving us a great reading.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, James.
All right, round of applause for Jen Cheng, and thank you again, VCP SoCal Poets, for giving us Jen tonight. So thank you guys very much. All right, moving on. I'll quickly mention that next week our featured reader will be Richard Loringer. Richard is here tonight. We'll get to hear a little bit of him in the open reading. That leads us to the rest of tonight's open reading. Here's who I have on the list in this order: Henry Medina, Cathabella, Siggy, Jackie, and Chris, Denise Dumar, Jennifer Elise Wang, Sean Mahoney, Cheryl Latif, Carrie Cox, Michael Hickey, Heidi Casa, Richard Loringer, Ken Scott, Dig Wayne, Finn Bell, James Everett Jones, Doc Janning, and me. If anyone else would like to be added to the list, and I'm sorry if I missed your message, it's a little extra busy for me today as I tried to figure out how to navigate getting this over to YouTube and stuff like that. So if I missed you, I'm sorry, but no problem. Send me a message in the chat, and I'll be happy to add you if you're not already on the list. As a reminder, 2 poems maximum. Less is more is the suggested time limit. Cathabella, Siggy, Jackie, and Chris, you are on deck. Please welcome our next reader, Henry Medina. Hello, Henry.
Hi, thank you so much, Jen, for inviting me and Rick for hosting. A little bit earlier, my internet was unstable. Can I share and put it's a short poem. Can I, just in case I get cut off, at least you could see it? Let me see. Can people see it? Okay, I'm writing a book right now. It's called Haunt Me, and it's basically the idea that you can't choose who haunts you. So sometimes I feel like some bad people are haunting me, but I want my mom to haunt me, but she doesn't. So sometimes I don't feel my mom's presence. So this is kind of what the poem is about. Okay, the title is "When Mother Doesn't Visit Me, I Worry." What if my mom isn't where they buried her? What if somebody stole her cadaver? In this moment, is sticking up a liquor store with her jawbone. Give me cash or I'll whack you to hell. What if they're dismantling her bones and selling them as used parts at a car junkyard? What if she's being held hostage in a golden cage and only being fed melon triangles? What if she eloped, driving to Las Vegas in a convertible? Death riding shotgun. Death who'd make a terrible stepdad. What if she hit her head, lost her key to heaven, and is wandering the Mojave Desert, unable to find her way home?
Henry, great piece. Glad you made your way to Cobalt Poets. I think it's your first time here. Welcome. I hope you come back and read some more for us. I was going to ask you, what would you do with a stolen cadaver? And then I realized I didn't want to know the answer to that, so I'm going to cancel that question right there. Thanks for being here. Nice job. Round of applause for Henry Medina. On deck is Denise Dumar. Please welcome now Cathabella Wilson, Jackie Chow, Siggy from currently Aurora, Colorado, and Chris Kondo. Hello to all 4 of you.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Here we are. And we were doing our best to transform the situation with all the firestones going on, firestorms in every direction here. We're about 4 miles from the Eaton fire, but we're on the good side of the freeway, so it's been safe so far, but making survivor soup for poets. So I called it Become a Phoenix. All my driftwood creatures have come to life again. I wait for this wild wood bird to become a phoenix. Jackie.
Withered garden, just hold up the sky. Too barren even for the
Dryads. Too barren for the dryads.
Okay.
Going back to his withered garden, he's gone. Only his rainbow whirligig there spinning.
Maine monarch released. Flutterbys tagged for travel, headed for Mexico. Hope to find a mountain with many choices of mates.
Speaking of mates, here's my mate. And he has a flute that he's mated to our poem. What is it, Rick?
Oh, it's just the Hitagoyuri, which is Japanese ancient flute, not... It was in use in the 14th century, much earlier than the shakuhachi, much shorter.
It's fluttering.
Hmm,
Here we go.
much flutterier.
All right. Is Diane here? Maybe not. I put her poem in. These were all written yesterday. So she was there at our meeting, and this was just perfect. So, Siggy, go ahead and read hers.
All my dreams, rowing ashore, docking in your arms, safe harbor.
Perfect after the mate. Chris.
Withered garden, it takes many days to angle, all the morning glory and moonflower rock.
Thank you, Chris. Chris comes all the way from Japan to our meetings and to this meeting today. On shore, I gaze through one blue jellyfish posed on a rock that holds the sky. Siggy.
Low tide, beachcomb for shells, sea glass shines, ivory sand dollars, treasures. I learned the hairy ones are alive.
Ooh. Jackie. Are you there, Jackie? Maybe Chris read Jackie's.
It was a moonless night, a patch of sky from the small window of my childhood.
And there's Chris.
Wandering as if I know where to go. Round each corner I expect to find the hidden moon.
Okay, here's Jackie again. Are you there, Jackie?
Yes, I'm here, but I cannot see the screen.
Yeah, I sent it to you, so victims deprived.
Okay, got it. Definitely got it. Yes, victims deprived of the first sunrise in a terror attack. This new year turning into a godless month.
Chris.
Godless month. Her muse on vacation.
I'll just repeat it because it's so beautiful. Godless month. Lute player silent now. Her muse on vacation. And Jackie, this one is melting snow. She's had problems with seeing the screen somehow.
Okay, I got it here.
Melting snow on the summit. I imagine the tickle of icy water down my nose. And Siggy.
No one rooftop, no need to clear with shovel. Easy work for sun. Soon it's bucket time. On first floor, drips on heads.
And this is the finale, and Jackie and I were together at the Arboretum and saw this, and somehow it just seems like the perfect ending. We follow the geese parade, jauntily walking toward the water spray at the Arboretum. We all need some water spray right now.
Thank you guys very much. Great to have so many of you participating. I think my new favorite collection of assemblage of words is I learned the hairy ones are alive. And I take it as a warning. So there you go. Thank you guys very much.
I still feel like a murderer.
There you are, Siggy. Wonderful. Thank you.
And next week from Houston.
She's a mover, that's Siggy. Thank you, Siggy. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Kethabella. Thank you, Jackie. And thank you, Rick. Very much
Thank you, everyone.
Appreciate all of you guys. Great to have you all here. As always, round of applause for the collab. On deck is Jennifer Elise Wang. Please welcome now Denise Dumar. Hello, Denise.
Hi, good evening, everybody. This is so much fun tonight. I just have one, and it's a new one I wrote today, so it's a little rough, but you know, things have been a little rough lately. And somebody should get a prize if they can figure out all of the songs and poems that I reference in this poem. Blue skies. We have been down this road before, but not so fast, not so far. Short-sightedness may be their long game. Ours is what we make of it. I still see blue skies, the water's edge, and all the helpful people. Not all palm trees ended up as candles. Some are still the beacons of our bergs. I go into this fight in armor, not knowing the temperature at which steel melts. A bookstore stands, Octavia's predictions sit like lead in my stomach, and I do know the temperature at which book paper burns. Still, I hold my amethyst, cold as midnight, shaped to quell the tremors and the pain. At least we're here. That's what's important. A stubborn streak of sentiment, immobile as a Botox smile. Hope has had its feathers singed, but still it tries to sing. And what else can we do but fight the power, whether fire or fear or fundamentalist fallacies, with everything we've got and everything we've ever had? Thank you.
Well done, Denise. Yeah, tough all around to just do the basic things these days, it seems, but great piece. Thank you for sharing it. Thank you for being here. Round of applause for Denise Dumar. On deck, Sean Mahoney. Please welcome now Jennifer Elise Wang. Hello, Jennifer.
Hey, so I've got two. First is, it's partly in response to the news about Neil Gaiman, but it's also everything that happened to me last year, where just a bunch of people wound up doing crappy things, and me working through those feelings because there's varying degrees of problematic. So this is iconoclasm. Kill your heroes, kill your faves, kill your influences, kill your inspirations, kill your messiahs, kill your mentors, kill your elders, kill your traditions, kill your fantasies, kill your crushes, kill your parasocial BFF, kill your memory of your childhood BFF, kill your nostalgia, kill your childlike wonder, kill your sympathy, kill your ability to see both sides, kill your inability to find out until everyone else figured it out, kill the part of you that tries to be better and is only so tired, kill the part of you that always ends up disappointed, kill it all until all that's left is for you to just be. And something a little happier, since Jen mentioned Bridgerton, it's happier, and yet I found like the angstiest character to kind of inspire my poem. This is about Benedict Bridgerton, who is the second son who was trying to be an artist, and kind of I related to that struggle. And so this is the artist. I stare at the blank canvas. I have so many ideas racing through my mind, but none worthy of transference. Are they even my own, or just copycats of what I consume? Maybe they're the side effects of mental illness or drugs. I think of my former peers who had gone on to other things, career, family, happiness. And I think of my current peers who probably see me for the fraud I am in this pursuit of a dream that's more like chasing a dragon, a temporary high that comes crashing down and gives me nothing in the end, like the blank space before me. Only my hands have started moving, and I let everything go until what's before me, valuable or not, polished or rough, is complete and my own.
Jennifer, great work tonight. I love the list poem, killer piece that you did. We're all frauds, I'll just have to say. And so we should embrace that and continue forward. achieving the success that we do by pretending it is that we know what we're doing. So keep doing that because it's working for us. Strong hat game tonight as well. You're up there. You're getting up there with that one hat tonight with the classics that Cathabella and Michael G. Hickey have brought to us. So maybe we'll have a hat off at some point. I don't know. Thank you for being here. Round of applause for Jennifer Elise Wang. On deck, Cheryl Latif. Please welcome now Sean Mahoney. Hi, Sean.
Hi, Rick. Hello, everyone. Just one tonight. It's called Walking Stick. It would be unwise, I think, to walk through a door with you. Wind at our backs, hair blown. Moment when our dialogue pauses after you finally ask me about my walking stick. I tell you why I have it, where I got it, wood type, and how long it took to carve, to whittle the truth down for a crip. You believed I should have 100,000, and you told me you could get them made at cost and sourced from domestic logs. And I said something about all the wood needed, loss of green, of homes, and one of your people mentions deforestation. The moment is not ripe, though tension is on your CV. Once upon a time, on a playground in a backfield, we sang and created chalk forests on surfaces full of ogres behind trees and goblins running around. We sang with sand at lunch, mostly songs of bears and favorite shows, apples and licorice, long before you chipped your tooth. My irregular crypt gate now. We were simply playground savants, and once at recess time we did speak of marriage and of a very large pumpkin tree, gel fountain, walking sticks for our trip, seeing the world. We dreamed of boats, and we sang of this too, so close we were to going. Your teeth and your skinned knee, my broken home, secrets, notes, pictures, promises, sunburn, land. Almost 50 years, and here we are, old friend, neither of us in the water where we are everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Great reading. Good poem. When I was a Boy Scout in the very early 80s, I was at a summer camp in the Adirondack Mountains, and the scoutmaster asked me to sing, and the only thing I could, or lead everyone in a song, I should say, and the only thing I could think of to sing was a song about bears. So that very much hit home with me, your reference to singing songs about bears. Next week, the entirety of the Cobalt reading will be just me leading that one song about the bear. So please come back for that.
Can you give us a little sample of your bear song, please?
Sure. The other day. It's a repeat song.
So disappointing. The bear doesn't even get introduced in the first line.
It gets
It's a third act
introduced
song.
in you're right, it doesn't. But it's a repeat song. I was going to continue. We've lost the moment. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Next week for that. Sean, thank you for being here. Round of applause for Sean Mahoney.
Cheers. Stay safe, everyone.
Thank you for that. On deck, Carrie Cox, please welcome now Cheryl Latif. Hi, Cheryl.
Hello, Rick. Hello, Cobalters. Here we are again on a Tuesday night. I've got a couple pieces for you. They're old pieces, actually, but hey. This first one is entitled The Dancer. You've entered my life with the ease of a dancer, gliding your way across this set. A breeze creates soft rustle of night leaves. Through my heart, a song whispers your name. Your movements, leaps, lunges, dance of the lover, rhythmic chant of body and earth, a tribute to two moving together, making their own breezes through the air. My quiet love, you have brought me your gift. I will hum my song. Through my dreams beside you, I know your heart, speaking softly its night dance with my own. You go to your weekly, life calls us all. What remains with me is a kind of silence, a kind silence, resounding in joy. It's as deep as the sea, as wide as the canyons, as old as the mountains, standing silent, majestic, knowing. I surrender myself to the knowledge of mountains. They have survived so much more than I, and look up to see against a brilliant sunrise, a lone dancer paying tribute to this world. Thank you. And here's a piece that some of you have heard, I'm pretty sure. Star lilies. Soil still between your fingers. You lead me through the garden. It is early morning. Crisp air and the fragrance of your favorite blooms stir my senses. We speak in metaphor, seduced by words left to interpretation. You cut me star lilies and freesia. You want your magic to linger. I invite you in. Find vases. Watch the sun play on your hands, now clean, as you lovingly arrange garden gifts. A bud opens, as if delighted to be in this small upstairs apartment. You know the face of my passion. Trace the fine lines of my longing with fingers experienced in coaxing flowers to bloom. Content in transitory moments, we play under the arc of laden bows. Pretend there is permanence in the mere curve of letters. Cut flowers, a kiss. Beyond the well-tended beds of your garden, winding paths lead to the question you turn from. We lose our way. I return home, knowing you will not follow. Upstairs, the star lilies, their fragrant flesh becoming translucent. Soon, petals will fall, one by one. Thank you.
Cheryl, thank you so much for both poems. I think we're all just begging for the mountains to tell us what they know. Thank you for that image, and thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Round of applause for Cheryl. Latif. On deck, Michael Hickey. Please welcome now Carrie Cox. Hi, Carrie.
Hi, Rick. Hi, Cobalt Poets. I'm going to read also, like Cheryl, a couple of older pieces because I just feel a little nostalgic this evening. So the first piece is called I Can Get By. In these blink-born, teeth-crushed, blue velvet mornings, bells jar me awake. Clouds cover my stomach and wrench water from my white wrist watch. Climb the vine, columns combine, and I paint my muscles like a lunatic concubine in these board-bred, smooth-fed lines thwarted from mirrors by candy cane heroes. There is laughter, but no true taste of what shame sells. Clipped wings, orange heart, terrible secrets and bad handwriting, a doctor dying behind a door, and 7 years more bad luck, a nip, a tuck, a fluctuation in station. These radio waves are washing up on beaches while the tone of the stone's own outgrown home is bruising the breath. I'm choosing my most likely form of death, like a coat I can take off and put on. Craning this long neck, I swan across the pond, dreams slivered until gone, but beyond, before, because, beneath. I believed, grieved, I thieved, orchestra music, I threw it. The sound of the pages fluttered for ages. I built a tempting cocoon in silent stages, trembled in the afterbirth of your wrangled rages. Raw, these tales take time to tell, and I can learn to listen to the stacks of starbirds clucking in their sails, accustomed to the jam-packed jails, cannon launched by pirates pretending to sew more sails, while the dead men bang their bones as loud as hell when all else fails. Thank you. And I have one more. It's called Seller's Remorse. The price was right, the jaw forgotten, dropping into an empty fishbowl, heading for the bottom, 10 pence less than mixed flavored incense, tempting my room to tap dance. You were in a 3-piece suit, and I was 1 row short of a dozen. Could have been an accident, the way your hands, Jack and Jilled against mine, may have been a circumstance of a disaster for me to come tumbling after. So let's sweep this under the rug tonight in the empty bedroom where the ropes are all tight and dead ends are dangling everywhere in sight. I once burned myself free of the noose of your nocturnal needs. Well, tonight you look like you might turn into a pumpkin when the clock strikes 12. Forgive me then, I'm not one to delve into deserts looking for water, but this thirst is more like an addiction to taste, and the rain is a ruckus, and I miss your face. I've got all this money that you won't accept. I wake up to sirens like a gypsy thief suspect, and my fingers are inked with the black of your ceiling. We share the same spectacles with knees bound to bleed from all of this kneeling. But I take turns between begging and praying, kissing you goodbye, then dreaming you're staying. The hot commodity imports and exports, you market your heart and advertise the offer that I can't refuse. It's a 2-for-1 deal down on aisle 7. We'll throw in a free book on how to get to heaven. Well, I still believe in most fairy tales, and my bed sheets are lined with softly crushed shells, and the thunder is supper, and the rain is my vice. And I'm known for my innate ability to play nice. So drip the drunken dimes into my poor palms tonight. I need a new toy for my devil's hands to keep looking for a fight. Thank you.
You and your devil's hands, Carrie. There they are, taunting us with desire. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your poems tonight. Round of applause for Carrie Cox. Thank you, Carrie. On deck, Heidi Casa. Please welcome now Michael G. Hickey. Hello, Michael.
I think just using Jack and Jill as a verb is one of the most wonderful things I've heard in a while. Okay, I have 2 poems I'd like to share with you tonight. The first one is titled Untitled. Said the poetry writing professor to the poetry writing students, poems need titles, good titles too. If it's a poem about your dog fetching a stick, don't name it My Dog, name it My Stick. Like lingerie, leave something to the imagination. Edgar Allan Poe noted, if poetry hasn't ripped apart your soul, you haven't experienced poetry. Well, class, Anything capable of ripping apart your soul deserves a damn name. Would you have a baby and not give it a name? Would you adopt a pet and call it dog or cat? Doesn't it need a moniker of some kind, and an appellation, nomenclature from the legislature, a flag, a tag, at least a childhood nickname? You may remember those nameless, brooding cowboys and spaghetti westerns, or perhaps the 1972 soft rock hit, A Horse with No Name. Well, friends, your horse needs a damn name. And in my opinion, so do all those sweaty cowboys. Think of your poem as a living, breathing, evolving splash of space glitter on the page. Space glitter deserves a title. And if your poem calls you drunk as hell at 3 o'clock in the morning from the county jail, you get your ass up, out of bed, swing by the ATM, and bail your poem out of jail, because that's exactly what your poem will do for you if you just give it a name. If you just give it a chance to love you the way you deserve to be loved, and the way it deserves to be loved too. And this second one is, I don't know, mostly just obscene, I think. I just went to, I'm 68 years old. I went to a senior center today for the very first time. And so I have to say it was sort of a fun thing. So I don't know, this is kind of, anyway, the Lucky Laundromat, there's two parts. Part one, that's what she said. Let's be last on the list of lonely hearts, hopelessly lost in lust. Evelyn walks down the street to the Lucky Laundromat, where she met Eddie Spaghetti, her late husband, the Prince of Pasta, her love, her passion, her reason for treason. And since he passed, what did she ever get with the mindset of playing hard to get with the jet set in LA? What divine intervention did she receive from a society intent to deceive the public about the purity of Puritans, a society that declared non-Puritans would not pass go or retreat to limbo? Non-Puritans say hello to Dante's Inferno. Non-Puritans would recoup not one red cent of last month's rent, and that's when the man at the laundromat asked Miss Evelyn if she needs any extra quarters, because he has plenty of them. She smiles, she winks, she blushes like a debutante at her sweet 16, a smile on her sundial, and graciously, demurely, extends her open palm, her tender right hand. He asks, would you like something from the coffee machine? Yes, please. Cream, yes, please. No cream, no sugar. That's what Evelyn said. That's exactly what Evelyn said. Part two. What the hell happened to you? You're not exactly sure when all this occurred, but one day you wake up and suddenly you realize on the spur of the moment that you've hit the age, that advanced stage when your erogenous zones and your erroneous zones are kind of the same. Your testosterone is tested, your phallus is a fallacy, your man musk hit the dust. And what was once a proud erection is now nothing more than a melancholy cocktail mixed of 1 part sadness, 1 part isolation, and a double dash of bitters. Of course, there's always been something called impotency. Hemingway routinely had a character with this affliction while fighting bulls in Spain or spearing marlins on the high seas, all while chain smoking filterless cigarettes. But the word impotency is now referred to as erectile dysfunction, which for some reason sounds a hell of a lot worse. And don't even get me started on Peyronie's disease, a medical condition which no man wants, much less wants to have named after him. In 2003, your virility went viral at an underground strip club in Grand Rapids, Michigan, but your virility hasn't been seen since. Back then, when you were all cocksure, there was a QR code on your genitalia, but truth be told, no one's clicking on your dick pics anymore, bro, because your bivouac has been bombarded by an enemy frigate. Your manhood emasculated pheromones MIA, hormones AWL, and let's face it, the jig is up for this gigolo. The thing is, you're not crazy, you're lazy. Your macho is eating nachos. Your machismo hooked on Doritos. Your manly valor has become a fig Newton of your imagination. Your semen is a sailor lost at sea, and despite the palmetto cologne, your heat-seeking trouser trout is still stuck in 2003 at that underground strip club in Grand Rapids, lost in a pile of lacy brassieres and G-strings. But remarkably, despite all this, despite the seemingly insurmountable odds, the optimism in your brandy snifter remains half full, clinging to the hope that earlier this morning at the Lucky Laundromat with Evelyn, when that cute brunette winked at you, she did it because she liked you, not because she had a speck of dust in her eye. Thank you.
In many ways, Michael, that was a long poem. Also, there will be consequences for the phrase "sperm of the moment." Just so you know, to be prepared for that to come your way at some point. Thank you for that. What an entertaining, cocksure delivery of words tonight. Round of applause for Michael G. Hickey. Thank you, Michael. On deck, Richard Loringer, and naturally, to follow that, please welcome Heidi Casa. Hello, Heidi.
Hello, hi, Rick, hi, everybody. Yeah, I guess that second poem needs to be bailed out of jail, Michael. So I have a short one, and then I'm going to read an excerpt from somebody else. This one is called Fortunes. What does it mean if, halfway done with tea, an eyeball jumps out, and you, so startled, almost drop the familiar hand-curved mug, only to find the look is you, wild and unrecognizable? And then I thought of with everything going on in LA, I thought of a little bit of wisdom from Akira Kurosawa in his book Something Like an Autobiography. So bear with me with this excerpt. The Great Kanto earthquake was a terrifying experience for me, and also an extremely important one. Through it, I learned not only of the extraordinary powers of nature, but extraordinary things that lie in human hearts. To begin with, the earthquake overwhelmed me by suddenly transforming my surroundings. I stood holding on to one of the young cherry trees planted along the banks of the river, and I was still shaking as I gazed out over the scene, thinking, this must be the end of the world. No lamps were lit, but the light from the fire raging in the low-lying downtown section cast an unexpected glow on the hills. From time to time, ignited by some kind of shell, a column of fire spewed forth from the armory, accompanied by a terrifying roar. In my neighborhood, there was actually a man who explained, as if he really believed it, that this sound was volcanoes erupting on the Izu Peninsula 100 miles south of Tokyo. What is frightening is the ability of fear to drive people off the course of human behavior. Thank you.
Heidi, thanks for sharing that with us. Encouraging in a way. It got me thinking earlier this week. I just started on a lark looking up, well, where are the safest places to live that have the fewest natural disasters? LA is not on that list. Anchorage, Alaska is up there. So just throwing that out there as an idea. If we just don't want to worry about it anymore, maybe just go to Anchorage. Delaware is not too bad either. It's got a lot of things. So thanks for being here. Thanks for thinking of us. And thank you as always for your work.
Thank you.
Round of applause for Heidi Casa. On deck, Ken Scott. Please welcome now Richard Loringer. Hi, Richard.
Hi, everybody. First, I'm sort of indefinitely collecting new pledges of allegiance, and you can check out the link I just put in the chat. I need a new pledge.com. There's a really nice collection there now with at least 2 people I see on here tonight, and a lot of them are very beautiful. Send us some. Second, I have 2 pieces for you tonight. I'm honored to be featuring next week, even though it's the day after Coronation Day. I mean, I don't know how I'm gonna follow that shit, but fortuitously, I just had This has never happened to me before. I got a second edition of a book, one of my books, and it happens to be the one that I describe as a collection of pissed off lefty poems. And so it's kind of a perfect occasion to read some fucking pissed off lefty poems. And I'm going to share one of those as a teaser tonight, but I can't decide if I should do both of them that I chose express irritation with our species. Let's just put it that way. One of them is serious and one of them is lighter. I don't know which. So if you want to vote in the chat for a second, and then I'll see how many people say serious or light, and or else I'll just ask Rick. But Rick, can I please share screen? Because oh my gosh, look at Debbie has a copy. If I could please share screen, I'm going to show you a visual piece and then read a poem. Okay, thank you. So I like making graphics, and this is I don't know, can everybody see it all? I think so. It's a flyer for our anti-inauguration party on Monday evening in the Bay Area, and I just was really happy with the image. I really enjoy making, playing with Photoshop. We will read all of the new pledges. We're collecting donations, probably not $1 million for families affected by the firestorm, but mostly I made this nice image. I want to thank Michael G. Hickey for the foreshadowing on this one, because I made an image of Dante's Inferno, except that it's called Trump's Inferno, and it's on an upside down wedding cake. And if you don't know Dante's Inferno, just read it real quick while I'm talking. But the bottom circles of the Inferno are, of course, for the worst sin. What are they called? I'm not sure you call them sinners, but the worst offenders who were liars and betrayers. Not surprisingly. And at the bottom, they were encased in ice, with at the very bottom, upside down. They had Dis also as Satan, um, Lucifer is upside down, encased in ice. And so I put, Trump and Elon on the bottom of the wedding cake, because, they need to bottom more anyway. Anyway, so I just like that image. This is Trump's Inferno. Yeah, if you're in the Bay Area, let me know or find it on Facebook. I'm going to stop and read you a poem. Did anybody vote? No, but nobody voted. Rick, should I read a serious or a lighter, pissed off poem? Oh my gosh. I was hoping somebody would tell me what to do. Oh, Jeffrey seems to want a pissed off. They're all both pissed off. You want a more serious one, Jeffrey? I'm going to let you determine my future. That's a yes. Lighter pissed off. I always obey Heidi, because otherwise. And you'll get more in this vein next week. A fable. One day, when the prime lending rate jumped 30%, unexpectedly and without precedent, all the capitalists in the world began to float. These were no Bush League capitalists, however, not mere consumers or dabblers in the game, but the true die-hard believers who had planted capitalism like a compressed air valve deep in their vacuous hearts. Slowly they rose, at first just a few inches or feet, buoyed by the market rate, like ducks in a lake, like gnats in an updraft. Though by evening, their levitation had brought them all, a good 16.7% of the population, somewhere about 10 feet above ground level. Everyone seemed to notice but they, who went about their business and bobbed home for the night, as if nothing out of the ordinary had happened. So it went for a week, when the mortgage rate shot up, and so did they accordingly, on another 50 feet or so. Still, they kept their blue teeth charged and had sundries and luxuries delivered by an army of drones. After that, it was the NASDAQ, pushing them to about 300, then inflation, then income taxes for everyone but them. People began to suspect a collusion, though after a month or so, the capitalists settled at about a mile up. It was difficult to reach them for comment, let alone see them. Planes were rerouted and satellites kept track. Meanwhile, the economic situation below became more and more desperate. Prices had risen so high and wages so low that people were actually accepting pay to dig their own graves. Everyone scrambled for a buck, a bird, and a TV set. Mob robs and loot fests became the daily news. Then, finally, it happened. People just stopped buying things. Initially, most folks simply took what they needed and nobody around them cared. They took and cheered or abstained and starved. Millions died. Still, there was less and less to take and less to take from. So they started making things and trading for what they needed. They had no choice. Money was just no good anymore. They began to barter, and in what seemed like days, a whole new system sprang up, frugal but vibrant. Soon they forgot the capitalists existed and began to till what was left of the blighted land. A hard road, a teeth-gritting road with small fulfillments, sprout by stingy sprout, scant, but no other road there was. Then came the first thud, then another, and another. Capitalists were falling from the sky. Many wailed, threw up their arms in horror and dismay, but only briefly, for they soon realized what the fallen capitalists were good for and set about to fertilize the earth. Bedtime story.
Richard, thank you for that piece
story.
and nice work on the Pledge project. Looking forward to your featured reading next week. It's going to be great. Thank you so much for being here. Round of applause for Richard Loringer. Next week's featured reader. Prepare yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. On deck, Dig Wayne. Please welcome now Ken Scott. Hi, Ken.
Good evening. Good evening. Richard Loringer, capitalists used as fertilizer. Woo! That's awesome. Anyways, and that was a wonderful feature earlier, Jen Cheng. That was awesome. Awesome feature. And I'm going to start with a poem. It goes a little bit further back. I was writing a lot recently about what kind of a sham America is and how Trump represents that sham. And then I stumbled upon this one poem that I wrote 4 years ago, shortly after Biden took office. And it literally has the same energy as what I was writing just today. So I'm going to do this one poem, and this is the only poem I'm going to do. This piece is called Escape While You Still Can. America will kill you before you properly defund her over-bloated, multi-billion-dollar military-industrial complex. America will kill you before you successfully remove that wretched exception clause from Section 1 of the U.S. Constitution's 13th Amendment. America will kill you before you successfully raise the tax rates on billionaires to a proper level of 70% or higher. And you do not have any say in the matter when multi-billionaires own every last media outlet and social media platform. You cannot fight them in any court of law when they own the entire legal system outright. And you cannot utilize the government to stop them when they already own every last office in the land, and bureaucracies are already nothing more than banks and corporations. And how can you defend yourself when those same multi-billionaires are instructing their governments, their criminal enterprises, to heavily militarize every last police force in the land, turning them all into death squads that will inevitably slaughter every single working class American within the so-called nation's borders? And while China has roughly 5 times America's population, America has roughly 3 times China's military budget, which means that China is a proper nation while America is just a killing machine. Every tree is known by its fruit. And scarcely anyone cares to know how deep the rabbit hole goes, simply because they no longer have the energy to do so. All rural self-sufficiency and land ownership having been deceitfully drained out of them long ago, one urban convenience after another, one tedious job at a time, apartment by apartment, with lies and fictions and fabrications taught as history and education. The application of some shackles takes seconds, while others require centuries. America's original sin of capitalism is scarcely original, even if the ancients called it by another name. What's original is the elevation of capital profit to a level of value far higher than that of human life itself, followed by the heinously white supremacist legislation of that elevation, giving rise to the dehumanization of all peoples of color, including the indigenous tribes whose land was genocidally stolen, and the African tribes that were kidnapped and barbarically enslaved on the very same continent that was genocidally stolen. America is therefore nothing more than the unjust criminal enterprise of self-entitled white tyranny, standing upon a financial foundation soaked with the blood money of genocidal land theft and brutal chattel slavery. And the thing cannot be cured of this disease when the thing is the disease itself. America cannot be cured of white supremacy when America is white supremacy. And America cannot be cured of hyperpredatory capitalism when America is hyperpredatory capitalism. And America cannot be cured of violent hate crimes when America is the biggest and most violent hate crime of all. Standing upon that blood money-soaked foundation, blood money from land theft and chattel slavery, and continuing to crown the white descendants with all the monumental wealth of that same blood money. This wretched system cannot be rehabilitated. And any attempt at sanitizing this insanity will only result in the untimely death of the same. America is a game you will never win, because hyper-predatory white capitalists own the game outright, because slave-owning white capitalists wrote the game outright and called it the U.S. Constitution, a white supremacist document whose 13th Amendment still allows for slavery and involuntary servitude to exist as a punishment for crime, which meant that Juneteenth was more of an arrogant slap in our collective face than a stale platitude. And don't even bother holding your breath for reparations. This thing called America was never sorry for slavery, because slavery was never truly abolished. And even a 5-year-old can understand that capitalism can only truly maximize its profits when its laborers are paid no wages at all. And that can only happen when those laborers are slaves, chattel property, owned and publicly traded or auctioned as such. And this hideous abomination, bathed in blood money, will never change and cannot be changed. You will surely die trying. Escape while you still can. End peace.
Preach, Ken. And by the way, you for president. So keep that in mind.
Not over this abomination. No, I would have to decline.
All right. Well, just an idea. Thank you for that piece.
My ancestors would scream at me from the grave if I did that.
Well, we don't want that. Ken, thank you so much for being here and sharing that important piece with us. Really, say it was good to hear is not exactly what I mean, but I think you know what I mean, even though I can't find the words. Thank you for it. Round of applause for Ken Scott. On deck, Finn Bell. Please welcome now Dig Wayne. Hi, Dig.
Hi, Rick. Hello, everybody. I have two poems, new poems. First one's called Hurricane of Fire. We never learned in school that we are paper, our bodies delicate strips of humanity, We can cry until we're soaked through and through with sorrow. Flimsy to the touch like spitballs on the moon. We prepare ourselves for the unknown by believing everything will be all right. We will be saved. We are good. We are resilient. We will bounce back. There are silos full of gratitude, hope, whimsy. When we ignore the inconvenience of inconvenience, reality has a way of tipping the balance as a reminder of how little we understand of what exactly we are made. Pulp, gristle, ash, fear, luck, love. The sweet smell of sweaty children all grown up, running toward the future, to the deafening sound of tens of thousands of hearts breaking all at once. Thanks. Second one's called Poetry as a Crutch. Lean back from the scarred vistas. Spit in your hands. Collect your lucky stars. The shoes of empathy sometimes fit tight. Suffocate the devil with words. Who's pulling the rug out from the parlor to shake out the shock? Standing up to the facts, but pain and mystery come at an accelerated pace. Pinch the nerve endings, walk the dog, get lost in imagination. Thanks.
How about Dig Wayne for president? Could we work with that?
No.
No? Okay. Well, I'm trying, people. Dig, nice work tonight. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Rick. Thanks, everybody.
A round of applause for Dig Wayne. Already snacking after the hard work of reading poems. It takes a lot out of you. You need to sustain yourself. Always have a snack handy, people. This is what we can learn from this. James Everett Jones, you're on deck. Please welcome now Finn Bell. Hi, Finn.
Hello, Rick. Hello, everybody. Good evening. I just wanted to say, Jen, Cheng, thank you so much for nourishing us tonight with your poetry. That was beautiful. This first poem I wanted to share is actually from a brand new book from another poet. The poetry book's name is When Stars Are Traitors. This poem is titled Detestinations, and a trigger warning for sexual assault. There's traffic in my body. Too many fingers are congesting the lost routes that can't save my origins in the pathways of being raped. Their moans are honking, abuse is busy, taking each corner of all the streets of my secrets open, like mouths of pollution, populating on my skin, driving with no stoplights, speeding, swerving on each blinking thrust, by each clutch of their crotch, pummeling through even the abandoned alleys of my begging grunts, bending at each stroke, willed the wheel with their pedantic license. It says pro. They can't go and turn up the speed of marking me, one thrust at a time, one break at a time. They don't time the rounds to memorize the speed between all the roads to my ruin, filled with each dead end naming my nakedness, that lie down in me, parking all the years that hasn't come to pass. I can't pass beyond the detours in between their next. I wonder, where is the end? Or is this my end? Rapists never care. And I put in the chat the book. So I wanted to share. Second poem is an older poem of mine. It's titled Silver Redemption. Commence transmission. Rove through with care and survive a soulless, disposable world with your perfect shell of a silver heart intact. 1. Consider Utopia and all her plot holes. She is lover to her cousin in the underworld, twice as mad, copying the movement of replicate minds since her first birth. 2. Promiscuity is allotted today, not allowed. Always command performance on someone else's terms. The sexual revolution never happened. The androids are tidiness and they sweep the propaganda into sewers. Below ground, new immortals dance. Bodies are not property, are not sanitized sexuality, augmented and filthied up thought data sequence. Stop, save, retrieve the corrupted hollow copy to keep you warm throughout the tepid passion, climate-controlled nights. 3, when we are death and rebirth in an unending fire halo pattern in our solitary spheres, are we calling this now truly living? 4, don't fuck the quasi-robots. Make love to them completely with abandon. They have feelings too, though they refrain from admitting it. They are aware that the government guides them, governs us, watches our every move in the keyholes and pretend they don't know we are also watching them, watching us. The complicity is silent. The subterfuge is absolute. 5, the androids imagine us before we conceived ourselves, their own presence illusion to fill the void of life. Our dreams are the construct. Our lives are the dreams. Our lives are not the reality. 6, once we decide we cease to matter, our emptiness begs to design us a spaceship coffin to escape the pomegranate-shaped earth, regurgitate its 6 seeds, eject from a hellish multidimensional paradise. We look back at our ruins. We cannot help it. Humanoids craving concrete proof of our destruction. Only here does the illusion shatter. 7, first entry in Celestial Explorer's log. Love is beyond the intangible in material and organic, alchemy and magic, blood and flesh and bone. Love is the universal truth. Transmission ceases. Transmission resumes. 8, when given the option, the only choice should be to always bite the sun. Thank you.
Finn, thank you. You are accentuating the undeclared theme of powerful poetry tonight. Thank you so much for being with us and sharing that work. Round of applause for Finn Bell. On deck, Doc Janning. Please welcome now James Everett Jones. James, are you there? All right, well, we're going to move on from James and say that Debbie Siegel is on deck, and welcome now to our open mic, Doc Janning. Hello, Doc.
Hello, thank you. Magnificent poetry tonight. This is titled Ancient Fires. Ancient fires within flames of infinity ignite that which fills our lives with light and warmth. The light of imagination, of creativity within us in all its myriad forms. Poetry, music, art, cooking, woodworking, sewing, and more, much more in wondrous array. The warmth of love, the animancy of home and the company of others. The forces of life resonate in those flames, a pyromancy of change to meet the needs of each. And those ancient fires buoy us as we take flight to journey into the future. And this second poem deals with winter as we know it here in Northern Ohio. And I've read it to our city council. I read to them at every meeting. Winter warmth. Winter bares its icy teeth. Chill winds sweep across the land, down our streets and lanes. No more the gentle caress of the year's halcyon days, and nature sleeps neath the hemimancy of frigid white. It is a time for pyromancy, of home and hearth, for hot stews and soups, for hot beverages and the adventure books. It is a time for family and friends, for snuggling with children and pets, for warm blankets and the animancy of each other. It is a time for dreams and to anticipate the warm kafuna of spring. Thank you.
Doc, thank you, and welcome to Cobalt Poets. I know it's your first time here. I didn't recognize your name, and someone else had to vouch for you. So you've got people out there vouching for you, by the way. So congrats on that. Very cool that you read poems to the city council meetings. That's feels like something should be happening more and more all over the place. So please come back and read some more for us.
Well, I'm the inaugural poet laureate of the city, and I made that part of what I do for the city. And it has drawn quite a bit of attention.
That's great. That's really great to hear. Thank you again for being here. And please come back. Please give a round of applause for Doc Janning, everyone. All right, on deck. We've just got a couple more. Debbie Siegel, James Coates, and then me. So James, you are on deck. Please welcome now Debbie Siegel. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, Rick. Hi, everyone. Thank you. I have two. Belief is not an experience. Who is glancing in the mirror, glimpsing repressed convictions, stalking flourishes of idiosyncrasy, synthesis, and wholeness, dispatched by deities, monsters, and heroes? Can science examine and measure individual personality? Who is asking, is it mine? No metric exists to judge, nothing to compare with or contrast against. No system prevails to answer the question, what is a self? Are we as individual selves a process over which we as individual selves have no inherent orchestration? Individual self has no beginning or middle. In all earnestness, we know we don't know how it ends. Can candid stories told around a campfire diagnose mortal existence? Tales of the serpent with an open maw devouring its own tail are insufficient, fleeting, moot, inadequate, a miracle, growing, withering, extinguished. Amid the flux, a kernel endures. In visions, dreams, and revelations dwells a wellspring of myth, evermore abiding. A self is not a creation. A self is a happening. Cosmic shimmy. Every twilight is a temple, bound for stardust, dashed to debris, hit or miss witness, focused on the fulcrum, forget trusting redemption. Hysterical miracles push aside opaque clouds. A crowning mauve rose, ascending above wicked stillness, below evanescent enigmas. The grift of second chances obscures the gift, that which you are, behind the black mirror, adorned with stardust, reflects a problem you have with promises, a perfect, puzzling paradox. Let us dance down, shimmering with the sylphs in secret space, as if in twilight, grace has your back. Thank you.
Debbie, thank you. Strong reading, both in terms of content and the way that you read. Looking forward to your featured reading here in April. No joke, April 1st. It's going to be great. Thank you for being here. Round of applause for Debbie Siegel. We're going to end with a couple of Jameses, as is our sometime habit. James Everett Jones, we're going to try you again in a second. Please welcome now James Coates. Hello, James.
Hi, Rick. Hi, everyone. Great reading tonight. And thank you, Jen, for your beautiful words. And what a gorgeous broadside. I have two short poems for you. This first one, I wrote 2 years ago, I believe around the time of the wildfires back then, and the effects after listening to the effects of global warming and how, it was going to increase these things. So it's titled Ferocious. First, the ground becomes dehydrated, thirsty for affection, carrying rains to flow across its soil so it can soak up belonging. But when praise only pours on days too far to remember, the ground grows frustrated, turns from green to brown, like a chameleon afraid of the end. Its feelings are brittle foliage, primed to snap from a cruel gust. Its joy dried up, hope a barren plot, and the frustration builds and builds until there is no more liquid in its cells to boil. Until wanting to be seen is no longer enough. Its anger must be felt, so it huffs and puffs and blows fierce rage across the land. The final straw is a spark from a forgotten flame, and the land becomes a walking nightmare. Forest inflamed, burning like hell's revenge, coming early for all the neglect and abuse. And the ground wishes the fire this time will make a difference, make us different. In peace. So yeah, I mean, so we deal with in California for sure, those fires. And so I got another piece I think is appropriate because of the what everyone's going through with the loss. So it's titled "We Welcome Peace." Dry your eyes. The time for tears is finished. Mourning has its place, but we cannot be swallowed by it. Do not give in to despair. That is not what we do. We must not let the pain break us. The fear of what is to come must not seep into our spirit. We must be strong for what is to arrive. We'll test who we are and all we hold dear. But we have been here before, and we have survived. We did not cave, we did not cower, and we will not today, nor tomorrow. We have done the work to build our resolve, to interweave connectivity into our communities, to remain committed to justice. The blanket of darkness may seek to drown out the light, but we still have a fire inside, a light to ignite others. Our life is worth the fight. Our joy has a place in this world. Peace and pleasure deserves to rest on our shoulders. Resilience has a home in our irises. We must resist the temptation of pessimism, Good exists everywhere when our attention is set to gratitude. Let hope fall from the mouth in abundance. Let love of neighbor conquer all. Be the vessel that inspires change, that champions collective care with simple acts of kindness. We welcome peace, but must stay ready for battle. We will make it through this chaos. We must. In peace.
We must indeed. James, thanks for being here. It's always great when you pop in to share your work. Thanks for that. Thanks for the power behind your words and the sentiments as well. Thanks for being here. Round of applause for James Coates. On deck is me to close out the open reading. Please welcome now James Everett Jones. Hi, James.
Hi, I've had quite a bit of a ordeal getting on. I'm glad I had a chance to see Jen and a few other friends. So I'm going to spare you the story of three computers. I felt like I was in between Mo and Larry most of this evening. I'm going to read something from an anthology book, which was, let me see, printed a long time ago, 1997. And it is entitled Dick for a Day. And it is a compilation of women who have written their account of what they would do if they had a penis for 24 hours. This one is from writer Diane DeMassa, and I'm just going to dive in here. I would finally understand once and for all this raw turkey neck makes men superior. Gosh, I was clueless. Oh, I do apologize for all those nasty cartoons. Then I'd jerk off while looking at anything. Then the real fun would begin. I'd run and show it to all my dyke pals who've never really seen one up close. I'd put it in a hot dog roll, let my cat smell it, see if it fit in my underwear, pose with it, and maybe have it hollowed out and use it for a change purse or a flag holder. I'd do jumping jacks on the bed naked and make my girlfriend retch. I suppose I'd measure it, maybe do a painting with it. I'm sure since I'm Italian, I'd really have a huge one, so I'd trip over it, maybe even jump rope with it. I'd get some fag to suck it, compare it to my favorite dildo, and see if I could stick it up my own butt. I'd consider what my period looks coming out of it and wonder what the pad would look like. A little cotton bucket? Then at the end of the big day, I'd look at it and just feel grateful that my brain wasn't in there.
Is a day really enough to get a sense of what it's all about, James?
No, actually, no. But then there are a good 50 of these stories here, and especially three accounts from the late lamented Lynn Lifshin. So, yeah, it's funny. It's a great pick-me-up.
Wonderful. Well, James, glad it worked out. Glad you had enough computers to finally be present with us today. Well done. Thank you for being here, and thanks again for bringing us Jen as well.
She's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. Round of applause for James Everett Jones, VCP SoCal Director at Large, and the penultimate poet. I will be the ultimate poet. That doesn't sound right. I'm going to be the last one. 2 poems. This first one is from my book, It Spritz O'Clock Somewhere, poems I wrote in Italy. Picture yourself in the city of Florence at a restaurant called At Osteria Filetto d'Oro. It's your first dinner there. You're just taking it all in. This is that. It's called at Osteria Filetto d'Oro. Our server's name is David. After the statue, I ask. Yeah, he's my dad, he answers. In this heat and in this not air-conditioned dining room, I don't feel guilty about wearing a t-shirt I bought at the Magic Kingdom. Conversation in the restaurant. I make this wine. You personally make this wine? No. How many glasses in a bottle? Addie asks. I've never seen a glass in a bottle, I triumphantly answer. Florence has a lot of places to get kebab, but if you want a kebab, you have to go to Reggio Emilia. I want to go to the table where the young American kids are yelling Uno at each other and speak in an accent of some kind and tell them, this is not how we behave in restaurants in Italy. Now the young girl is twerking at her family. We do not twerk in Italia, little girl. Maybe Naples, but definitely not Florence, I tell her in my fantasy accent. If they offer limoncello, you have to say yes. It's a supersize me thing. David, our waiter, noticed my cat photo on my phone and wants to show us his dog, a pit bull. He's a happy dog. And I'm going to read this second poem. This one was written after this line of text from this week's Torah portion. Now go and get to work. You will not be given any straw, but you must deliver your quota of bricks. Exodus chapter 5, verse 18. The poem is called Ballad of the Gig Worker. This one's for the ride-share driver pouring their time into moving people from one place to the other, their car a commodity, their gasoline provided on their own dime. This one's for the teachers draining their bank accounts to make sure pencils are on their students' desks. This one's for the gig worker, health insurance, an expensive dream in this greatest country where all the other less great countries wouldn't dream of charging you for a Band-Aid. This one's for the bill payers, the ones who count their own beans, the ones who compare toothpaste prices, the ones who think only rich people go out to eat. This one's for the ones who think they saw the word mortgage in a fantasy novel, who see the word rent as a punishment. This one's for the ones who have to gather their own straw. These treasure cities aren't going to build themselves. These bricks our own burden to make out of nothing. All right, folks. There you go. Really great, stellar, full reading tonight. Thanks to everyone for being here, for making it possible. I want to thank VCP SoCal Poets and James Everett Jones for presenting Jen Cheng to us tonight. I want to thank Jen for being a fantastic reader and really giving us all kinds of really cool poems. I'm pasting the stuff I pasted earlier in the chats. If you'd like to support our featured reader, again, there's the Venmo and PayPal IDs to tip our featured poet, contribute to the virtual passing of the hat. There's the Cobalt Poets link to download the broadside for Jen's poem. As always on the Cobalt Poets website, once you're there, not only can you see all the broadsides on that page that have ever been published as part of this series, but you can click on email list and add your email if you're not already receiving the weekly email to get a reminder of who's reading in the upcoming week. As I mentioned earlier, next week Richard Loringer will be our featured reader. And if you'd like an email reminding of that with the Zoom link, then by all means get on the email list. And of course, if you click on calendar, you can see who else is coming up as well. So lots of great people scheduled in the next few months and more to come for the rest of the year. Also, back to the things I pasted, there's Jen's website, jencvoice.com, and links to her books at Amazon and bookshop.org. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Fantastic reading tonight. Thanks everyone for being here. Don't forget, until I get my Facebook account back, that's a whole other story. These readings will be simulcast on YouTube. Check out our new YouTube page, youtube.com/ampersand Cobalt Poets. I don't know why they make you put the ampersand in there in the middle of web address, but they just do. But this is the first event that's there, and might as well subscribe to it because maybe Facebook will burst into flames before anything else happens. I'm now going to click on the Ask All to Unmute button so everyone can say hi to each other.
Hi, Cheng. Hello.
Salutations.
Hi,
I
everyone.
don't have to say hi to each other this time.
Hi to each other.
Do it.
Take care. Bye.
That was hecka.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Great reading.
They don't twerk in Italy, dude. What? What? That's sacrilege.
Great reading, Jen.
Yeah.
Some 11 commandments that I don't know about. Thou shalt not twerk in Italy.
Not in the middle of dinner.
I'm gonna hang on this wall for the whole week, man. I'm miffed. I can't believe it. You can't twerk in Italy. Oh my God. Oh Lord. Anyway.
Good night, everybody.
Excellent.
Hey, Elizabeth, good night.
Hey, Elizabeth.
Nice
Good
to
to
meet
see
you so much. It was so cheering to be with you.
Everyone, stay well.
All right, you
All
guys.
those nice loves
Take
that just
care.
popped up on Jen's screen. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you,
Great
everyone.
job, Jen.
Guys.
Really great to hear your work.
Oh, good to meet you.
It was super good.
Good to meet
Likewise.
everybody. Like we share friends in common, but you're new to me. Thank you for having this opportunity.
I'm new to me too. It's very confusing. Jen, thank you so much.
On that note, good night.
Ciao.
Well, you're like
Ciao,
you're
fellas.
not a thing, you're a happening. Yeah. Hey Rick, I'm
Right.
gonna send you an email with a couple of questions about next week, but I don't feel like I should